Whether you drive a Volkswagen or you drive a Bentley, the road remains the same, doesn't it? Whether you speak on a Samsung or you speak on an iPhone X, whoever you're calling remains the same, isn't it? Whether you're flying economy or you're flying business, the destination where you're heading remains the same, isn't it? Whether you're wearing a simple fast track or you wear an Omega or a Rolex, the time remains the same, isn't it? It's quite amazing how we work ourselves up so much with increasing the standard of living that we forget to increase the standard of our life. And which is why wherever I travel, I make an appeal to people. There's nothing wrong with an Omega. There's nothing wrong with a Bentley. God bless you with that, and if you have it, drive it, no problem. But in trying to enhance and increase and improvise the standard of your living, please, do not compromise with the standard of your life. It's not the standard of your living that makes you happy. It's the standard of your life that makes you happy. And very often, we forget to give attention to those things that can truly make us happy. Which is why I always say, things that I'm talking about, they have utility value, right? Not happiness value. Travel business class or first class. Travel, no problem. Drive a Bentley, no problem. But in doing so, never, ever compromise on those principles that also improve the standard of your life. And therefore, I always say, some people are so poor, so absolutely poor that all they have is money. That's all they have. That's all they have. I consider that life a poverty-stricken life. If all you have is money, you're the poorest person in the world. Because there's more to life than money. And there's way more to life than what money can buy. And therefore I many times say, if you want to truly know how rich you are, drop a tear and see how many hands come forth to wipe that tear. Ladies and gentlemen, our happiness and our increased standard of life is not in things, it's in people. It's relationships. It's meaningful, heartfelt, deep bondings of love that bring fulfillment to the heart. It's those meaningful exchanges of love that we share with each other in relationships that brings true joy to the heart. And isn't it the greatest irony that something that brings in the greatest fulfillment, we very conveniently neglect in just running after increasing and enhancing our standard of living.
Now, the certificate and the education has its place, but guess what the real things that will separate you outside? Your character, your personality, how you handle human beings, your ability to respond to situations, your ability to be creative in every impossible situation, your ability to engage with human beings with respect and a sense of dignity, knowing that every human being, rich or poor, small or big, counts. That not your neighbors, not the son of the minister or the son of the governor that you know, no. That the son of your house help, the son of your father's driver, that the gatesman in your house, every single human being that you will meet will count in your life because you do not know where you will meet them again. Human beings are mobile. They change form every season. Thus, the rich or the poor man at your gate could have an exceedingly smart, naturally smart son who does not have the opportunity, but who is able to apply for scholarship into Covenant and get through it and apply through British Council for a scholarship to Cambridge and comes through it and comes back and is the only graduate from their segment of their state. And when they're allocating something for their state, he becomes the star. And before you know it, he's sitting in a place where even you, with all your opportunities, you haven't sat. But if you did not greet him well before, because you think you belong to a certain social class, then you have missed the opportunity of a lifetime. Because human beings are mobile. You must treat every human being like a treasure of God that they are. Everywhere you will be in life, every place you will go, there will be a man or a woman speaking for you or against you. And it will be about when they encountered you, what legacy you left with them. So in your walk of life, realize that human beings count. And it's not about who they are now. It's about who they can be that you do not know. Because even you do not know just how far the Lord will take you or the places you will sit. You will have a sense of it, but time will always unfold and reveal many things.
There was a former Undersecretary of Defense who was invited to give a speech at a large conference, about 1,000 people. And he was standing on the stage with his cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup, giving his prepared remarks with his PowerPoint behind him. And he took a sip of his coffee and he smiled and he looked down at the coffee. And then he went off script. And he said, you know, last year I spoke at this exact same conference. Last year I was still the Undersecretary. And when I spoke here last year, they flew me here business class. And when I arrived at the airport, there was somebody waiting for me to take me to my hotel. And they took me to my hotel and they had already checked me in and they just took me up to my room. And the next morning I came downstairs and there was someone waiting in the lobby to greet me and they drove me to this here same venue. They took me through the back entrance and took me into the green room and handed me a cup of coffee in a beautiful ceramic cup. He says, I'm no longer the Undersecretary. I flew here coach. I took a taxi to my hotel and I checked myself in. When I came down the lobby this morning, I took another taxi to this venue. I came in the front door and found my way backstage, and when I asked someone, do you have any coffee? He pointed to the coffee machine in the corner, and I poured myself a cup of coffee into this here styrofoam cup. He says the lesson is, the ceramic cup was never meant for me. It was meant for the position I held. I deserve a styrofoam cup. Remember this. As you gain fame, as you gain fortune, as you gain position and seniority, people will treat you better. They will hold doors open for you. They will get you a cup of tea and coffee without you even asking. They will call you sir and ma'am, and they will give you stuff. None of that stuff is meant for you. That stuff is meant for the position you hold. It is meant for the level that you have achieved of leader or success or whatever you want to call it. But you will always deserve a styrofoam cup. Remember that. Remember that lesson of humility and gratitude. You can accept all the free stuff. You can accept all the perks. Absolutely, you can enjoy them. But just be grateful for them and know that they're not for you. I remember getting off the Acela. I took the Acela from New York to Washington, D.C. And I got off the train like everybody else. And I was walking down the platform like everyone else. And I walked past General Nordy Schwartz, who used to be the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, the head of the Air Force. And here I did, you see a guy in a suit, schlepping his own suitcase down the platform just like me. And just a couple months ago, he was flying on private jets and he had an entourage and other people carried his luggage. But he no longer held the position. And so now he got to drag his own suitcase. And never did it sort of remind me more that none of us deserve the perks that we get. We all deserve a styrofoam cup.